Well, first of all, the reason I wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad was because I knew this time was coming. And we have, as a world, have never been here before. And so is it a spooky time? Damn yeah. It is probably the most dangerous time ever. There's nothing to compare it to because there's never been a world economy before. For example, 100 years ago, if there was a stock market crash in England, it didn't affect anybody. But now the US market goes down, the world goes down. So plus with social media and all this we're doing now, and so we've never been here before. And I'm excited about it because I make more money in crashes than I do when they go up. So, but for the average person, they'll get wiped out. I'm afraid at the worst, I hope I'm wrong, but I think we're heading for a global depression. The economy stays down, it's hard to come back up. And now the good news is that for those who are prepared for it, like you and things like this, you'll do better. See, not everybody dies in a plane crash, some plane crashes. But the last crash in 2008, I was on Wolf Blitzer's program 6 months before Lehman Brothers went down. And I said Lehman was going down. And nobody listened, but it went down. And so I've been expecting this market to go down for quite a while. And I'm concerned about my fellow human beings. But as you know, most Americans are clueless. They don't know what's going on. But if you travel the world, I just got back from Africa, China, and Japan, and New Zealand. People are scared. Australia hasn't had a recession in 30 years. It's in recession. But I'm concerned. That's all I can say. I'd be afraid if I had kids. I think as an adult you can go hungry, but you don't want to see your kids go hungry, and that's what's going to happen.
You think it's going to get that bad?
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: what is the biggest factor that's going to cause that?
Well, the reason I wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad is the US dollar. That's my book over there, Fake, which came out last year. Fake money, fake teachers, fake assets. And the US dollar is fake. Never in the history of the world has any fake money ever survived. And we're doing the same thing. We just keep printing this money. And when I wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad almost 25 years ago, people said I didn't know what I was talking about. I said savers would be losers. Now, today, there's quantitative easing, which is counterfeiting money. So that's why it's fake money, fake teachers, fake assets. Our education system, it has been my rant forever. Why don't we teach people about money? Why is it? We all use money, but we don't teach people about it. So that's why I'm concerned. And I wrote this book, Who Stole My Pension? It's already sold out. But I wrote Who Stole My Pension because was the reason I wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. The two authors here, me and myself, Edward Siddell, we both had dads who lost everything. And when I was in my 20s and my poor dad lost everything, it scarred me. And I said, I'm never going to let anybody ever do that to me. So I had just come back from Vietnam in 73. My dad was unemployed, poor dad was unemployed, and he tells me to go fly for the effing airlines. I said, are you kidding me? And he says, go back to school, get your master's and get your PhD. I said, are you kidding me? Here the guy is unemployed. He's got no pension, he's got no paycheck, and he's telling me to go back to school. I said, what, learn nothing? And those guys who, my friends who flew for United Airlines, they're broke today. Their pensions were stolen. And Americans, I wonder how my 401k is doing. I'm going, gee, I'd be a little bit worried, but they don't know. Americans live in a fishbowl. Everybody sees in, but Americans can't see out. So I travel the world constantly. And what I see going on in the world is disturbing. I was just in Argentina, and I took my kid brother there, and he came back a changed man. He says, you weren't kidding, were you? I said, no, I wasn't. My brother could not believe that what happens in Argentina is going to happen here.
It's terrible. It's 12 million people working to support 9 million people in Argentina. So why do you think sometimes, the thing I'm always curious about is when we're talking about fear, Robert, what is the biggest difference between fear today versus fear 50 years ago versus fear 100 years ago versus fear 20 years ago? Isn't this a common thing? Like when market does well, economy does well, a few people are prepared for it. Most people kind of sit around, don't do anything about it. What's changed? And is that going to be happening 50 years from now, 100 years from now, where people capitalize and most don't?
Well, that's a fabulous question because, today when I refer to 2008, most people remember 2008. You know what I mean? That's when Lehman went down, Bear Stearns went down.
38% drop.
Yeah, they all remember it. But when I started Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the only thing they had was the Depression. I came out in 1997. Rich Dad, Poor Dad came out. And their only reference points was the Depression. And none of the people I talked to remember the Depression. So the fear today, I think people are a little bit wiser, is because they do remember 2008. And they do remember 2000. So 2008, 2000, 2008, and here we are today. So I think most people are at least kind of tuned in, because the best time to start a business is right after a crash. I made more money after 2008 than ever in my whole entire life. Guys who start right after a crash do very well most of the time. You want to make sure that no matter who's in office or if it crashes, you're okay. That's the most important thing you can do.
You don't pivot based on presidents?
No, of course not. They don't affect me at all.
You don't pivot based on presidents?
No, I'm not a stock guy, that's why.
Okay.
So I'm a real estate guy.
So for you, it's...
I own businesses. So the Rich Dad company does better in a crash. And apartment houses, they always do well because people have to have someplace to live. And I want oil wells because people are always burning oil. So I always protect my assets that they're crash proof.
So let me ask you, the average person's watching this right now saying, okay, Robert, I'm not like you. I don't run a company. I don't have a brand. I haven't sold 41 million copies. I don't have oil. I don't have rental properties. What can I do? I'm in a time like this. You're telling me the market's going to go in shambles here pretty soon because of currency. And what do I do to be prepared for a time like this?
Well, first of all, everybody can do something, but they won't. And that's the problem. The reason, who stole my pension, there was plenty of money in it, but nobody did anything. They just stole it. The people did nothing. It's like I said, when the crash came in 2008, not one of those guys went to jail, got paid bonuses. So there's something rotten inside America. And I think the problem with many Americans is they're complacent. They expect, well, it'll heal itself again. So the thing that everybody can do is, my first investment was a gold coin in Hong Kong. I bought a Kruger. I was flying off an aircraft carrier in Vietnam, and I went to Hong Kong and I bought a gold Kruger. The date was 1972. The reason the date's important is because in 1972 it was illegal for Americans to own gold. So I had to smuggle that little puppy into America. I put it in my pocket, came off the ship, and nobody checked. But I felt like a criminal as I smuggled this gold coin because it was illegal for Americans to own gold after 1933 under Roosevelt. But that gold coin today is worth almost $2,000.
The one gold coin?
Yeah, I still have it.
What'd you pay for it?
50 cents, $50.
$50 to $2,000?
Because I understand money, that, quantitative counterfeiting and zero interest rate, I don't trust the dollar. So for most of my life, I've saved gold and silver, and not ETFs. I stay completely out of it. I know that's your world, but my world is completely into the hard assets. So I have millions of gold coins and silver coins. I just kept saving it because I don't trust the dollar.